welcome back to another episode of Tales of Agmar. I'm your host and creator, Sinjin, and today we're going to talk about some more finishing details for your story. If you are... Oh, excuse me, let me move back to the mic. This is kind of more like bring your world together. But anyways, if you're just joining us, we've got tons of announcements. Thank you guys so much. If you've been reading the book chapters on Royal Road, Ream, and Wattpad, if you have not, those are linked in the description down below. Just hit up one of those, whichever one fits your vibe the best, and check out the beginning chapters of the book. We're already a couple chapters in there. I think we might be about the double digits by now. I'm kind of recording some of these ahead of time now, just so I've got more time during my week to work on all the other book stuff that I got to work on for Tales of Agmar. But anyways, on top of all of the book reading, we also have Discord. If you want to come find us, chat with us in a more low-key environment than comments, you can find that down below. Follow that link. It should work for you, and let us know that you came. Also, you can check out the Ko-fi to support the project. It's just our little tip jar if you're really enjoying Tales of Agmar right now and you would like to help us with some monetary encouragement. That is very, very much accepted at this time. Tales of Agmar, if you have not noticed already, comes out every Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, about 7 p.m. if you're on the eastern side of the United States or in the UK area. And if you have not already, please like, follow, comment, subscribe on whatever platform you are on, because we would like to talk to you and get to know you better. So, let's get into more of this storytelling. This week's big idea, and the idea of helping you finish your story, help you flush that bad boy out, this is where you start cooking as a storyteller, for lack of a different way to say that right now. By now, you should have a better understanding of what storytelling is for you personally, kind of what your groove is, what that's going to look like for you every day, perhaps what kind of story you're going to tell, or at least what stories you don't want to tell. You should have a good idea of that by now. And hopefully the story, if you've got one kind of going in your head, it's starting to live in there 24/7. You really feel like it's coming a bit alive to you and is going to be in a format where you can start putting pen to paper soon. Or if you already have, that you feel like you at least feel like you can keep going and keep moving on. We've got 2 more weeks until we talk a little bit more about writer's block. So we've got this week. Then next week we're going to chat. Actually, that's next week. My bad. Next week we are going to be talking about writer's block. That's why we have notes and friends, people. Okay, so finishing your story, though, this is great, amazing time. We'll, in the future, perhaps hit on some editing. If you guys want to hit on editing in another storytelling section, we're actually going to switch it up after this week and talk about some more Tales of Agmar stuff, but I'll announce that at the end. I do want to make a little side note here about that story living in your head 24/7. I don't expect your story to take over every aspect of your life, right? It doesn't need to be ruling your life, but it does need to have a safe space in your life, so to speak, to where it gets its own attention of at least 5 minutes a day, I would argue, just to get enough time to get your brain going, get some story out, and be able to finish that thought process that you have going on. But we want to talk about some things to remember while you are finishing up your story, because there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot you got to keep going, a lot you need to line up, especially if your story is a lot longer than most. And number 1, you want to write down every single idea that you have somewhere so you can find it later, right? These can be super helpful if you ever don't know where to take your story from a point. Maybe you feel a little bit blocked in your brain, or if something doesn't sound right later. You can start switching out scenes with alternate scenes that you've perhaps imagined, and then those will all of a sudden click and help your story flow better. All right. And on places to write that, and we've talked about a journal. That can just be a normal journal. It doesn't have to be a fancy storytelling journal. If that's something you guys want, let me know. Perhaps once we do merch, we'll have like a storytelling journal that could have fun little exercises every day for 365 days to give you like a story at the end of it that you can be proud of, because it would be your story. But You guys let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about that. We'll keep tossing that idea around here at Tales of Agmar HQ. But like I said, you don't need to feel like you need to go buy someone else's thing to be able to make your own story. You can easily just get whatever printer paper you have and start writing on a story. You've got Word. If you just have a little laptop and something, you can't get words, you can't get any word processor or anything like that, you can always write in a TXT file. As weird as that looks, that's a good place to start until you can get going. And then there's always free platforms as an author that you can hop on and people can read your story and all that jazz, all those good things like we've talked about in the past with where Tales of Agmar is getting dropped. And then of course I do want another thing. If you guys have like questions about world building and you want sort of a world building helpline, I would be open to dropping a channel in the Discord that's dedicated to something like that. So anyways, as always, just let me know your guys' thoughts. I really like interacting with y'all. It's always been a joy. And we like having you guys around here at HQ. So let's go on to the second thing, the second big thing to remember for your story. It is okay if your story does take time to formulate. Now, I took 5 years to really formulate Tales of Agmar before I even really started putting pen to paper to end up writing the full story just because it started taking off, right? If your story takes 5 years, it takes 5 years. I mean, I don't actually remember off the top of my head how long it took Tolkien, but Tolkien took a good minute before he really felt like Lord of the Rings was built up to a point where he could then fully write out the story, have the story finished and all that. Okay, it's okay if it takes you time. I would just also say that you can make lots of time in your life. We've all got, or at least most of us have got that doom scrolling habit down. We're all pretty good at it, I would argue, perhaps too good at it at this point. And you can totally sacrifice doom scrolling time for storytelling time, and your brain will thank you. You won't believe me until you actually try it. Maybe you do believe me. Just go try it. Go remove some of that time. Go do some creative process. It's great. Okay. Number 3. All right. Oh, and sorry, one more thing. I've got an interesting take here. All right. And that is to take breaks. Okay. If you're doing 5 out of 7 days of the week, doing just like a little bit of storytelling from a 5 to 30-minute range, especially just in the beginning, that's good. That's totally that's beautiful, right? You need time to let your brain reset, kind of let it recover a little bit from thinking about an entirely different world. And at the same time, like, right, we're busy people. You're gonna hit a point where you're just like, I'm just so exhausted. Like I need to give myself some days off, And for me, I like doing like Saturday and Sunday because that's usually when family and friends are open, and so I hang out with them and I keep those days a little bit more open. Sometimes I do still create on those days, right? I do still work on the book a little bit, work on Tales of Agmar in some way, shape, or form, but I let that sort of blend in with my existing schedule if it can. Okay, so just ideas to help you guys get going. Now, number 3, this is a big thing. I know a lot of beginning authors, this can be scary, but please do not be afraid to let others take a look at your work, okay? Letting someone else look at your work changes you as an author, right? They're going to give you feedback that you might not have noticed. They're going to let you know that scene that you're just like, I just kind of hate this scene. They're going to be like, no, this is actually a really good scene, okay? We as authors, we end up being our hardest critics. We end up being like, I don't know if that scene's working. And you just kind of continuously running on your own. It's going to be hard. Also, we can be super biased. It's really hard. You're normally kind of one or the other as an author, I've noticed. Sometimes you'll have something, just like, oh, I love it. I cherish it so much. And then you put it in front of a few people and they're just like, it didn't work. It wasn't what I needed as a reader to experience your story, right? And I would say that it's good to put your work in front of other authors first, especially other authors kind of in a similar situation like you. So if you can, get into a creative writing course and put some work in front of those people and see what's happening, they'll give you some good feedback, right? Because they're doing the same thing. They also want good feedback. There's a number of online places I've heard about where authors can put their stuff up and get feedback from it directly from other authors. I would just say definitely, like, especially at the conception of your idea, getting feedback from other authors that are also trying to give feedback. Everyone's in like a good constructive format, and then they're going to give you some good feedback. After that, you're definitely going to want to get just some vanilla reader feedback, people that just love reading stories, have read a lot of stories. Perhaps, they may or may not be thinking about being readers in the future, but those are the people that are going to be reading your book the most, I would argue, is people that are just like they're really just into reading or into listening to audiobooks, consuming media, etc., right? Like you want to then put it in front of those people. You don't want to let any group of people um, that have like a huge financial investment into your story be the first people that really get a look at it, I would argue, because right, they're going to be biased money wise. Okay, and that's not a bad thing, right? That's their job. They're trying to run their job. Reason like totally chill. They also have good feedback, not bad feedback usually, but you want to put it in front of people first that really just love whatever medium you're using to storytell and see their feedback. Because, like I'm saying, they're going to be your core fans. They're going to be the ones that keep supporting you through thick and thin as a storyteller. Okay, so we've got those things. Now, as you're going through the process, and again, the process is whatever that looks like for you, whether you're a perfectionist that has to finish every line perfectly in your story, that's totally okay. That's not bad. We like perfectionists here. We like good grammar when we're reading our stories. At the same time, you don't have to have perfect grammar when you're fleshing out your first story, right? Like I'm saying now, I'm spending so much time, Tales of Agmar wise, just doing grammar editing right now, okay? I would argue that's a really good thing. If most of your editing turns into you just fixing little scenes here and there and doing a lot of grammar edits, I would say that's good, okay? And just to give me some more validity on this subject, I have written a lot of stories and I've read a lot of stories from people at various levels. The ones that have better grammar are going to read better, obviously, right? So you're going to want that. But you can also have really good grammar and still jump around story-wise. Okay? So just find balance there. When I'm writing all of my stories that I've written in the past, I like to write the whole story first and then go back and do some more editing, like Tales of Agmar being example A at this point. But that helped me get the entire idea out of my head before I started worrying about whether or not something was right. Obviously, I made sure stuff was spelt right to the best I could, using the right wheres and theres. But I really, really needed to make sure that my story was down first. And I would argue that that should be your main proponent. And then as you're getting ready to hunt down a publisher or getting ready to self-publish, really take the time to just sit there and do some editing yourself grammar-wise, so that then once you submit it to a publisher, or if you're going to self-publish, you submit it to a self-publisher, then they're not having to pick every single little detail out. They're able to then find like the small little mistakes you made. Maybe you need an extra comma. Maybe you used the wrong where in one point. It's going to make their job easier, but it's also going to make you more confident as a writer as you run back through your story, add in those better syntax and grammar edits, and then, read it again. It's going to be a super huge, super big, empowering moment for you as an author as you keep doing that. Okay. Oh, sorry. One more thing. While you're doing the editing bit, I find it funny. I thought it was like, oh, we might not talk too much about editing. We've talked a ton about editing. I think that's very important that we did. This is your story, right? I've mentioned that tons of times. This is your story. You're writing it. You can come back later and change scenes. Okay, I've had a few times where I wrote some scenes down in Tales of Agmar, book 1. Tales of Agmar Gambit, book 1, and as I was going back through, it wasn't until the third or fourth time that I read through it all that I was like, that scene doesn't fit. It needs something different. And there's still things, some by a little bit of scene wise. I'm waiting for some more people to give me some feedback on it. That I think don't fully match, right? But there's just some big scenes where I was like, that scene needs to change to fit the whole vibe of the book, right? That one scene felt like it didn't belong in the book. after everything else that I wrote in there. And that's a big thing you need to notice is, what does your book fit? What kind of theme are you going for? Is your book more romancy? If it is, everything needs to feel a little bit more romancy. Perhaps your combat gets a little bit more cheesier for it. If you just really want some good romance and some really good combat in there, then all of your combat scenes need to look really good, right? All of them should try to be as accurate as possible to what you know. And then I would even say to go and look out and find some more reference materials to make it look a little bit more accurate on the page and such, right? Like we don't need any crazy things happening where somebody seems to be overpowering people that should be overpowering them, unless there's different forces at play, right? Perhaps magically enhanced character. There's always caveats to where you can overpower people through certain kinds of means, certain techniques that different fighting styles have, and those should be mentioned, right? If your character ends up being a little bit more of the scrawny type at the beginning, give them that training arc for a few pages where they bulk up. Give them that moment where they learn the counter move and it becomes second nature so they can counter the bigger, little bit slower guys, right? Little like bad guys, right? Or whoever they're fighting, right? Maybe you're writing about a scrawny bad guy. Okay. Anyways, whatever it is, you've got it. Okay. You've got it. It's yours. You run with it. Now, this is my last bit, things to tackle, just things to remember. It's going to feel like a recap of everything. Stick with me here. We've just got 2 of them, okay? The first one, your story is the biggest thing you need to tackle as a story writer. That is your main priority. I encourage you to come back later, worry about grammar. We've talked about this, but it's important that you understand that your story needs to come first. Your series of events needs to be coherent. Obviously, grammar comes into play with it being coherent, but I mean the transitioning of your scenes, like from scene to scene. Does it feel like you are reading a full book or watching a full movie as you're doing this? Or does it feel too jumpy around? Are you breaking the own physics of your universe just to write something cool? If so, why do the physics break? And if you're like, ooh, I am breaking the physics of my world, that doesn't make sense. Something should not be able to fit in a vehicle of that size to make it be able to do that for this scene, then you need to go back and change it. You need to be able to come in there and be like, okay, this is cool, but I could have something else happening, right? I could have more power on this kind of ship instead, and this kind of ship should be tracking, so and so through these scenes as we jump through them, right? Now, number 2. Then this is an even bigger one. You got to find someone that can help you with that dang grammar, okay? Someone besides you need to be looking at your grammar. And I know there's AI out there. I know there's Grammarly. Grammarly can be good. That's just the problem is you're kind of stuck with an algorithm. It's not so much human. I would encourage you to get another human to come and look at it if you can. Just go find that really good, English person. And if you are a really good English person and you're writing, you're good at grammar, that's fantastic. That's good. You got it all in there. I would still encourage you to try and find another like a friend that's also good with grammar and can come and look at your book for you once you're done with all this story stuff, because they will help you add bits of grammar you didn't even know about. And that will then make your story better. And then when you're running through and editing all of your scenes again, then you can really see which ones are actually not supposed to be there, which ones should be improved upon a little bit. And then at the end of the day, you'll of course learn a little bit more about the English lexicon. All right. Well, then just again, I really want to emphasize this thing, this whole, my big reason for all of this, right? For running this whole series is this is your story. Okay. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that it's your story, and you write your story for you first. You write the story for you first, your fans second, then for the publisher or whoever's in charge of producing your story, right? You don't write the story for the publisher or the producer. You're going to lose your fans. you're going to lose your readers, your consumers. Your readers, your consumers, your fans. Those are the people that make your story worth writing. Also, as a writer, it is really hard to write against fans. Okay, if you're only writing for your publisher and you're not writing for your fans, you're going to lose so many fans. If you've got an enduring franchise, they're going to try to stay with you, but it's going to be hard, obviously. We've got tons of accounts, especially recently, of people that have taken over others' franchises for various reasons. Some people's passing, some people just transferring ownership to have it continue, hopefully. And that can be hard. That can be a huge thing to deal with. You can still make it your own while having it feel like the original thing. And I feel like we've had good hits with that and we've had good misses with that throughout, the past couple of years of storytelling. But really just remember it's your story. You write for you first. You write what you want to write. You add some bits there that really make sense to give your fans. If you've got characters that get separated at the beginning, you gave them a whole love thing or love triangle, then you need to come back and resolve that. You can't leave that unresolved. All right. Now, with that all out of the way, we are at the end of our time for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening to this whole little mini series. Again, if you've got questions, find us on the Discord, chat us up there. I will answer them as best as I can, as usual. Give you guys, advice to where I can. If we do want to start up that storytelling channel on the Discord, then I can get that running. We can start, a little author support group there for us all. But thank you guys again for listening. If you want to support the project that is Tales of Agmar, then please check us out on Ko-fi, as well as listen to the end of this to give us a little extra boost, algorithm-wise and ad-wise. We will be back next week, Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. We will be chatting up about writer's block, getting past it. If you guys are stuck in writer's block right now, I'm so sorry. I didn't have enough time to chat about everything I wanted to chat about writer's block in all of the other episodes for this. And till then, this has been St. John with Tales of Agmar, and wherever you are, be a good one.